Solvitur Ambulando, The Adventures of Steve and Dixie by Stephen Breakstone. Snippets from my journal. July 7th, 1986, Monday. A yucky day. I must remember that these will occur and you must go on. As long as you don't have more yucky days than good days. Nothing terrible, really. Galuccieville was further than I thought. I realized that it was 17 miles, but I must have been walking at a slow pace, and that makes it take forever to get anywhere. What made it so yucky? I don't know, but it was. Just yucky. Mr. Johnson of Johnson Food Mart told me that a thick rope around my body as I laid asleep will prevent a snake from getting to me. I remember reading that that was a myth when I was a kid. Now I see in mid-America how myths perpetuate. July 8th, 1986, Tuesday. This trip and experience, thus far, has had such wonder. I have done some cool things in my life up to this point. Traveling, rafting, rappelling, parachuting, hiking, jobs, sex, drugs, rock and roll. But by far, this is the most fascinating. Ups and downs of all kinds. I'm becoming quite confident in my ability to carry enough food and water for the day and overnight, and always find a safe place to sleep. The acute anxieties have passed. Then why am I not content? I have to be honest. I have to admit it. Why do I spend so much time pondering alternatives to walking to Seattle? Maybe because this is crazy. Why can't I not just be consistently happy during this experience? Because I am not. That's why. I've been preoccupied with the thought, what else can I do? The thought keeps popping up, so I need to record it. Maybe I just don't have enough other things to think about. These thoughts come when I get so friggin' bored and I have nothing else to think about, and when the towns are few and far, the landscape is monotonous, my experiences with the local people are non existent, and my mind has no stimulation. I have decided that I will give this adventure at least 2 months. If I don't walk the whole way to Seattle, then I want to at least get a full experience out of it, enough to make a fair judgment and decision. 2 weeks from now, I could be out of Louisiana. I have been looking at some 10-year-old fold up maps I found, and I've been looking at Texas and Oklahoma. It's very intimidating. Much longer miles between towns, and there's no obvious route like Route 1 in Louisiana. I figure if the heat gets to be too much in Texas, we can walk at night, and that would increase our daily distance if it were necessary to get towns for supplies. I'm concerned about how much I can realistically carry 12 to 15 miles each day in this heat without losing my mind. My daily goal has been to get from town to town. There's something comforting about getting to the next town where I can get food. I don't know. Maybe that's a feeling of security for me. Getting to the next town is also a feeling of checking off an imaginary list to achieve my ultimate goal, which is about 2,800 more miles. As I record this, it's only fair to also state that sometimes I absolutely love doing what I'm doing and wouldn't want to change a thing. I'm on an adventure. I am 23 and the world is open to me. I love to walk. I love to see new things. I love to meet different people. I have freedom. Sometimes I have serenity. I have enough money for my needs. I have friends and family back in New York. I'm creating a glorious future. It's hard to picture the details of it, but I only see good things coming from this. Perhaps my unshakable uncertainties are based on the fact that a safety net is further away than ever before. It's not just a phone call away. It's not just Mike and Karen or other friends 2 feet away. I didn't exactly grow up in the lap of luxury, but I never had to do without or worry about not having, well, whatever I needed. I never had a great injury or loss. I never really suffered. That's good, of course. I know and I appreciate that. But now, living this lifestyle, I feel like I'm living on a precipice. And any pleasure I get out of this adventure, like meeting fascinating people or feeling at one with nature, is tempered by the fear of the unknown of literally living on the road. Anything could happen to me at any given moment or the passing of any car, and no one would know for weeks. I've considered that perhaps the balance I could find could be a combination of walking and riding. People voluntarily stop and ask if I would like a ride all the time. If I get plenty of offers of a ride when I don't ask, I'd get even more with a working thumb. If I don't like an area that I'm walking in, if it's too boring or too far to the next town, I could get a lift. I'd still be seeing the country, still traveling, still getting to Seattle, and still be able to stop in different places. I could walk when I want and ride when I want. This is an interesting idea, an option to consider. This way, I won't be trapped and therefore I won't get bummed out as much. But I will continue to walk for a few weeks, at least until mid August. That way, I'll be able to get a full feel for this adventure and I won't be cheating myself. July 11th, 1986, Friday. It's a few days since my last journaling. More and more, I don't think I'll be walking all the way to Seattle. I'm not ready to take a ride just yet, but tomorrow's 4 weeks and I'm a little bored. I'll continue, I'm sure, through Louisiana, parts of Texas, and, well, then depending on what route I take, maybe parts of Oklahoma. But when I feel like I'm hitting constant long stretches without people and little nature, like for example, 30 miles of walking, one small store, 20 miles of walking, a small store, 20 miles, one store, with only cornfields in between, I won't be experiencing much except boredom. I won't be meeting the people. I'll only be getting in my own head, having looping thoughts about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And after a while, enough's enough. My goals are to see the country, people, land, and nature, to have experiences, to create opportunities for myself, and perhaps most important, to have fun. If I do not enjoy what I'm voluntarily doing, then what is the use? This is not a pilgrimage or penance. This is my life.
Side note, yeah, of course. It's obvious now. Those tough, boring, sometimes unpleasant, always confusing weeks were as important an experience as any on this adventure. The impact of experiencing all those emotions with benefits and drawbacks is consciously still felt today. I'm so glad I did journal all those redundant emotions and looping thoughts I experienced. As repetitious, volatile, boring, and somewhat embarrassing as they are to share, the entries serve to accurately and holistically remind me and to share my youthful adventure. What are those benefits and drawbacks I mentioned? That's a worthy discussion for another time.
July 15th, 1986, Tuesday. I walked into Shreveport on Monday. As we got closer to town, we found ourselves in a world of intersecting highways. On the busier roads and streets, I have Dixie on a leash. I know she knows the rules, but I fear she could be a distraction to a driver, which can cause an accident. I find that Richard Bach has some interesting ideas in his book Illusions. He's also the author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. When I strongly desire something and create the image in my head, I find a way to create it in reality. Not always in the form first imagined, but I do find and get what I want. Recently, it was more spaghetti than I could possibly imagine, or even the country of Italy could imagine. I had been craving spaghetti, and then the other day I walked up to a Mr. Gotti's restaurant on Route 1, which had an all you can eat spaghetti dinner special. As if I needed further proof, I was reminded that I have a problem learning how not to gorge myself beyond sanity when I find something really tasty. For hours after I ate all I could eat, I was so full, it actually hurt. I could barely walk. I waddled just enough to get beyond town to find an out of view site to set up our tent for the night. Dixie didn't mind. The walking day ended earlier than usual. I was bloated, but it was fun. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. Yet I had no Alka Seltzer. I make myself laugh. Hmm. What happened to the guy who was so anxious on this trip he could barely eat? Another example of getting what I imagine is shelter from the rain. I can see and feel when the rain is about to drop. I respectfully request to anyone or anything who could hear my thoughts for shelter, and I get it. Sometimes as a deserted roadside shack or house, an overpass, or a building with a good overhang. With my body so used to being hot, raindrops feel really, really cold, and walking in my rain jacket and pants is sweaty and uncomfortable. Since the first day of this walk, I haven't gotten stuck out and exposed to any serious storm. It seems that if I open my mind to the world and all it has to offer, I find what I want and what I need. I can't always get what I want, but I get what I need. Later. Today was another disgustingly hot and humid day. The pleasures are stimulating on this trip, but the pain can feel torturous. Near Oil City, about 1 p.m., I finally saw a good place to rest. It had everything we needed: shade, water, and flat grassy ground. Dixie, always happy and ready to rest after the sun hits full blast, lowered the pond of a few inches of water and then found a perfect sleepy shade spot. She knew we'd be there for hours. My boots and socks came off to dry in the sun. I washed myself a bit, laid out my sleep roll under the tree, and savored the sweet feeling of shade, rest, and peace. Moments like these, I find myself either napping or sitting up and reflecting in a well deserved, relaxed manner. I was thinking of a swim when a red pickup came rolling on by. Dixie sprung to all fours and stood by me as I waited for the man to come to a full stop. "What you doing here, bud?" said the red, sun-beaten faced man. He was talking slow, was deep-voiced, and serious. "Hi, I'm Steve, and this is Dixie," I said, wearing my best howdy-doody face, "and we're walking from New Orleans to Seattle on our way to Alaska." "Uh-huh," he drawled out very slowly. "Don't you know that this here is private property?" Now, we didn't mean to cause no trouble, but don't you worry about that, bud. I came prepared, he said, stroking his shotgun, which was beside his stick shift. The stroking of a shotgun was my main concern. "And this dog is traveling with you, huh?" "Dixie, you said?" "Yep, every step of the way." I saw my advantage and took it. I'm always as pleasant as possible, but that doesn't always work. Dixie has become my ace. I think this trip of ours is harder on her than on me. She's always wearing that fur coat of hers, and she sure needs a lot of water. That's why we stopped here to drink and rest in the shade. "Is that right, Dixie? You need a rest?" he said in a higher pitched, pleasant sounding voice. He reached down and Dixie let him pet her on the head. "You know that this here is private property, bud?" "Well, I saw the building way over there, but there's no fence, and it sure is hot out here." I noticed that Dixie was Dixie, but I was still Bud, and he drew the three-letter word out to Bud. "How long you plan on staying, Bud?" "Until about 5 o'clock, when it gets a little cooler." It might have been smart to just get up and go, especially with a shotgun in sight, but damn, it was hot, damn hot. We needed to rest. Having charming Dixie with me, I figured I could be a bit forward. "You're clear till 5, Bud," he said to me, as stern as when he first arrived. "Now you take care, Dixie, and you drink all you need," he added, as if he was the nicest guy in the world. July 16th, 1986, Wednesday. The alarm beeps at 5:15 a.m. The sky begins to go from dark to light. The ground is still dark. I wait another 15-20 minutes. I can get dressed, but I don't want to bring things out of the tent in the dark for fear of losing or misplacing something. But at the birth of dawn, in the tent, the world a silhouette, I can safely dress for the day: socks, underwear, shirts, and shorts. For a while, it is life in the shadows. I placed my underwear, socks, and shorts right outside my tent door last night to air out. In the tent, things gather condensation. I unzipped the mesh flap door and pulled in my clothing. I learned, again, that some lessons are not learned so easily. The fire ants have returned. They crawled into the crotch of my undies and pants and again, via their ultra sophisticated methods, managed to wait until my pants were up, zipped, and buttoned before the attack command was given. Believe you me, never, I repeat, never has a man gotten out of his pants so fast.
Until next time, peace.